For some people, happiness comes in the smallest of bites. But after a few nibbles, some chewing, and a swallow, in the blink of an eye, it's all gone. And that's the essence of happiness as we know it. Nothing makes me happier than eating a buttercream frosted cupcake. But is there a recipe for happiness besides for sugar, flour, and a bit of spice? And can that happiness be sustained?
Business definitely makes me happy because it's really contagious.
Miriam Glassman spends up to 60 hours each week on the phone as part of her job, but she isn't calling to sell you something. She's calling to flatter you.
Sean, I just want to tell you what an amazing boyfriend you are. I hear you're a great cook.
And what you do is you basically call someone up on the phone and flatter them.
I call them up and I tell them that they're awesome and that, depending what specific things I know about them, try to make it as personal as possible.
Miriam runs a business called Flatter Me. For $5, she'll call your aunt, neighbor, or even your boss and tell them how great they are on your behalf. And where did you come up with this idea? Because not everyone thinks I want to flatter someone for a living.
I came up with this idea. I'd literally been spending the last year trying to find a creative and original business idea. I really wanted to do something that reflected my personality more.
Miriam runs Flatter Me out of her home. Her business has only been open for 6 weeks, and she's already overwhelmed by the demand. Is there a market for tapping into the happiness field?
If you're offering something that will help increase the chances of making someone feel good and happy, that it'll be successful.
And how many phone calls do you do a day?
It varies a lot. I've gotten hundreds in like a 2-day period, easily 40 calls on a slow day, up to hundreds.
And is it profitable to be in the happiness business?
It's been profitable to date. As long as I can sustain this level of demand, then yes.
And there are good reasons we want to be happy. Not only can happiness brighten your mood, it can also change the course of your life. But for the average person, they could increase their level of happiness just by happy thoughts, is the bottom line.
Over a short period of time, yes. With what's called mood induction. Mood induction is when you get people to concentrate on either some happy event or some very sad event that has occurred in their life. And if they do this for 4 or 5 minutes, their mood, if they're thinking about something happy, their mood will actually improve.
Dr. Simon Young researches mood in the psychiatry department of McGill University. He says there's a link between feeling happy and living longer, and he's found evidence thanks to a select group of nuns who kept diaries.
Well, they were following a group of nuns.
Nuns?
Nuns are very good for epidemiological studies because, they don't drink, they don't smoke, they have very similar lifestyles, they have very similar...
They don't stay out late at night.
They don't stay out late at night, they don't, so many of the things you have to control for in epidemiological studies you don't have to worry about with nuns.
The study ranked essays written by 22-year-old nuns, marking them for positive and negative sentiments.
The fairly mind-boggling finding was that those in the top quarter of positive mood relative to those in the bottom quarter of positive mood actually lived 10 years longer.
Happiness seems to be key for longevity or for just a healthier lifestyle.
You have to distinguish between lowered mood and positive mood. Positive mood is associated with greater longevity.
But at Concordia University, the quest for happiness comes in a much smaller package. It sounds a bit like this. Dr. Jim Pfaus is searching to unlock the key to happiness in a unique way. His research focuses on sexual pleasure in rats. And then how do we link that to humans? Because rats are obviously different than humans.
Well, rats are different, but they're mammals and they've all evolved. And the brain areas that are involved in pleasure and happiness have been conserved throughout evolution.
Dr. Pfaus has been working on the project since 1992. It's the type of research that attracts the attention of pharmaceutical companies that want to bank on his findings. But while the findings may be enormous, the source of his material, like these brain graphs, is rather small.
So what we want to see is, well, does this involve activation of opioids in the brain? So morphine-like substances in the brain, which are, it's turning out, really is the bottom line for pleasure.
Opioids are the cornerstone to Dr. Pfaus's research. In effect, they are the root of pleasure. But the only way to activate the opioids is by stimulating one of the 5 senses.
You get sensory stimulation during copulation, and you get sensory stimulation by being in the presence of really good food. You activate this protein in the nucleus.
And once the nucleus is activated, so is the brain cell, ultimately connecting the stimulation to the feeling of pleasure. And that sensation can be sustained for a little while, a term Dr. Pfaus calls the afterglow.
Either from sex or from eating a big meal or from whatever it is, that afterglow sensation is a satisfaction. And part of happiness is being satisfied.
But is there a way to keep hold of the afterglow so that the happy feeling doesn't end?
Would you really want it to? You can really reduce happiness and reduce pleasure by doing the same thing over and again. This is why variety and diversity is the spice of life.
Back at Flatter Me, Miriam says her phone calls are always well received because they fulfill that need for variety.
I think I tapped into something that, a need that everybody has.
And everyone just wants that little slice of happiness. Now you give them 5 minutes.
Right.
When do you think they feel happiest? Is it the moment you call? Is it 5 minutes later? Or is it the next day when they think, wow, someone really thought about me?
That's a good question, because when I started this, I thought it would just be that moment of the phone call and it would be a funny exchange that made people feel good. And I've been getting from people that's really the effects have been afterwards.
So we decided to try a flattery call for ourselves by paying a few compliments to someone who wasn't in on the experiment. My father.
Adam Avrashi.
Yes, hi, Morris.
Yes?
Hi, my name is Miriam, and I'm calling to tell you what a wonderful person you are.
I don't know what that means, but okay. From which company?
Actually, this is a gift to you from your son, Adam. And
Oh.
your son thought of you when he heard about this.
Oh, isn't that special? I would have to thank you. Well, thank you very much for the call.
So that was a typical one. He laughed, he enjoyed it, it's a fun moment, and he'll probably talk about it afterwards.
And talk about it he did, only minutes after the call was made. I just got a message from my dad. Can I read it? It says, thank you for the special greeting. It was great. Dr. Young says this behavior proves a further point, that social interaction with friends and family are more important than material gifts.
Giving to others can sometimes create more happiness than trying to get something for yourself.
Happiness is as simple as a mother sharing a cupcake with her son, however briefly it might last. There's a couple of things we've come to realize about happiness. Happiness can come in any shape or form, whether you're studying rats or making a simple phone call. Happiness is really what makes you happy. And for me, that's why we're here, at the cupcake shop, where I get to enjoy one more bite of heaven.